Hey there, I'm Grease Scotsman of EQCast, and this is a Landmark Lesson, a segment where you can find tips to become a better gamer. Today's Landmark Lesson is a response to a surprising amount of frustrated feedback from players upset with the introduction of falling damage and player death that came along with the initial PvP update at the end of August. At the core of the grievance players seem to have with the update is that they are convinced they can no longer use heroic movement to leap and bound from mountains, tall claims, or perform other death-defying acrobatics because they fear the inevitable splat at the bottom. Well, fear not, ladies and gentlemen. With a few meager resources of tungsten, silver, and elemental silver, you can put together your own adventurer's grappling hook, which is the answer to all of your worries. Best of all, this little puppy also requires a small but important amount of skill to use, at least when trying to avoid cratering to your death as you leap from vast heights. First, a word of instruction for anyone not at all familiar with the grappling hook in Landmark. Outside of combat, the hook will target the mouse's location. It has a finite length, and it is entirely possible to whiff your target if it's beyond your grapple's range. Also note that each use of the grapple drains energy, so you will run into periods of being unable to grapple while your energy recharges. As I've been talking, I threw together a few examples of what not to do. Here's the maneuver performed properly. Let's talk through the differences between the footage where I died and the footage where I landed safely. Notice the adjustment I made to my aim on this successful attempt. Instead of aiming down at my feet toward the terrain that is careening toward me, I aimed slightly behind me, ensuring that the grapple cast was directed at a shorter distance between me and the terrain as I fall. Learning when and where to cast your grapple, especially doing so before going splat, will take some practice. Expect to die a few times if you're unusually daredevilish as you get this down. But isn't that great? Not only do you have full use of your heroic movement and can be as bold as your courage allows, but to pull off truly death-defying feats requires a bit of skill. What fantastic gameplay! You know, I never imagined being impressed and engaged by the gameplay involved in simply getting from one side of the map to the other, but SOE has nailed it. Bonus round. I'm sure we all use the gallery these days to shorten travel time hopping from claim to claim, especially with PvP. But for those who still enjoy a good romp across the countryside, I implore you to go in speedy style. In addition to grappling the ground to avoid certain death from the sudden stop at the bottom provided by the ground as you fall towards it, you can also grapple the ground to pull yourself along rather quickly as you run across the terrain. Notice in this side-by-side comparison how much faster the me on the right got to the finish line than the me on the left. If you're just traveling and you don't need to save your energy bar for, say, a death-defying leap grapple, use it to speed you toward your destination. You might as well put that energy to use. It's going to recharge anyway. I hope these tips have been useful to you, and the use of the grapple rekindles the daredevil in those who had become worried by the chance of falling damage death that came with the August 27th update. You've been watching the first episode of Landmark Lesson. Stay tuned for more content. In the works is a PvP arena workshop that involves feedback from a number of community member builders whose claims have already caught our eye in the week or two following the PvP update. This is Grease Scotsman of EQCast, and I hope we never stop learning.